We started off with people always worried about sort of the lights out scenario, you know, the moment where somebody hits the power grid and you lose all the electricity from Boston to Washington and chaos ensues. That could still happen at the beginning of a major conflict. And certainly the United States builds into its war plans now doing that to other countries. In fact, in The Perfect Weapon, you'll read about a plan called Nitro Zeus, which was to basically black out Iran if we got into a conflict with them before the 2015 nuclear agreement was reached. But I think if we've learned anything from the Russia hack, from the attack on Sony that you mentioned, from the hundreds of other state-sponsored attacks, cyber is different. It's not like a nuclear weapon. It's much more targeted. It's much more subtle. And what we learned in the Russia hack is you can do things that people don't even notice are happening at the time. And I think what Americans are trying to get their heads around is we're just the collateral damage in this battle among states that's taking place way above our heads. And in fact, cyber has become the preferred weapon of most states.
Is there retaliation? Because we hear all the time about the Russians doing this, about the Chinese doing this. Are we doing this too? Are we retaliating for the acts that we have seen?
We are not as much. We've done cyber offensive things, obviously, to Iran during Olympic Games. That was the Stuxnet virus. To North Korea against their missile program, a secret program President Obama authorized a few years ago. But when it comes to attacking back for attacks on the United States, we find ourselves constrained, all presidents, Democrats, Republicans. Why is that? Because we are so vulnerable to escalation. So during the Russia hack, people came to President Obama with some interesting proposals. Let's unplug Russia from the world financial system through the SWIFT system. Let's go after the oligarchs. Let's make Putin's money disappear. Let's reveal his own communications with the oligarchs and reveal how much he's been funded by them. For each one of them, there was a problem. Disconnect them from the world financial system. How are the Europeans going to pay for their gas over the winter, right? But there was another problem, which was the Russians had so many ways to escalate against us, including into the election system on election day. And President Obama hesitated to do it, figuring, oh, we'll clean this up after Hillary Clinton's elected. Well, that didn't quite work out that way.
Well, we can't exactly say we're going to hack their election systems.
And that actually raises a really interesting question, which is, do we need a sort of Geneva Conventions of the cyber world? Because companies are never going to be able to protect themselves against everything. They've invested heavily, the financial industry and utilities have invested heavily. That'll take care of about 85% of it. But if a state is coming after you, you can't build big enough walls, right? So we need,
as a private corporation.
As a private corporation, right. Even the biggest private corporations. So we need to begin to have some rules of the road, and those rules of the road might include things that are off limits. You know, we don't go after election systems. We don't go after hospitals or communication systems and so forth. What's interesting is I'm not sure the U.S. intelligence community is willing to sign up for that.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.